Now let's talk about releases. You've heard of the backup ball, you've heard of the straight ball, and maybe the hook ball. Now most people that score well in the game of bowling use a hook ball. The straight ball isn't used because the ball has a tendency to go down the lane and deflect away from the pins. It's very difficult to get good strike power out of a straight ball. The same thing is true with reverse hook. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate the releases for you, all three releases. You can see what I mean by them. And here we'll start with the straight ball. Now the straight ball is released with the hand going straight through the center of the ball in this manner, the ball rolling off the end of the fingers. Doesn't hook either way, just goes straight into the pins. Now watch closely and I'll show the straight ball to you. Nice and relaxed, straight to the pins, right through the back of the ball. Notice the ball doesn't hook, goes straight to the pins. And again, because the ball isn't hooking, it's not driving into the pins, it's difficult to strike with that. The next release I'll show you will be a backup ball. Now the backup ball or reverse hook is thrown in this manner, with the inside, the elbow going to the inside of the ball, in this, which creates a reverse hook, the wrist turning this way, the ball rolls in the opposite direction or rotates in the opposite direction. Now to demonstrate the reverse hook or backup ball, I'm going to move to the other side of the approach and use the opposite side of the lane so you can see the ball hooking into the pins much as it would for the other hand of the bowler. Okay, here we go with the reverse hook or backup ball. I'll use the same type of approach as far as footwork goes, just rotating the elbow to the inside and the wrist in the opposite direction. Ball rotates the opposite direction. Sometimes it hooks. That one didn't. Okay, now we'll throw the normal delivery that most bowlers will use for maximum striking action. That's a hook ball, or the ball that goes out of your hand and hooks into the pins for maximum drive and maximum striking power. Again, nice and relaxed, knees slightly bent, and a good follow-through. That's why you throw a hook, because that's how you strike, and that's what we all want to do. We want to get those good high scores with a good proper release, good speed, nice and relaxed. Enjoy the game the most that way. What we're going to get into now is one of the most important parts of the game of bowling, being capable of making spares. Very few of us can strike every time we throw the ball down there. In fact, I have never met anybody yet that could. So what we're going to learn how to do at this point in the program is cover those spares that you will leave from time to time, no matter what they are and what variety they might be in. I'm going to explain to you a little bit about how to stand, how to face the proper approach, how to make your arm swing and everything exactly like it was before, but from a different position on the approach, using a different target on the lane. But first of all, I want to relax you a little bit about a one-pin spare, for example. So I'm going to show you something right out here on the lane surface itself. As obviously you can see, we have two bowling balls, one bowling pin. Now the pin is approximately 4.5 inches in diameter. Each one of the bowling balls is slightly over 9 inches in diameter. If you remember back at the beginning of the program, I told you the width of the lane is approximately 42 inches. So based on that, we have 9, that's 18. 4.5 is 22.5 inches, which is wider than half the lane. So when you have a one-pin spare down there, anywhere but on the corners, whenever you have a one-pin spare, you can see that you have half the lane to hit to make that spare. So really, we don't have much of an excuse when we miss a one-pin spare. And after a little bit of careful consideration, watching what I show you here, you won't be missing very many, I hope. Now we're going to go over to the chart, show you something very important here. On the chart here, we have here, one of the most important things to remember is that when you throw the strike ball and it enters this area of the pins, which is what we call the pocket for a right-handed bowler between the 1 and the 3 pins. The ball enters here, drives into the 5 pin, and slightly deflects into the 9. What I'm saying now is that the ball, by doing this, hits only 4 pins. The ball itself only strikes 4 pins. The rest of the pins are caused to fall down by interaction among the other pins. The 3 into the 6 and the 10, the 1 into the 2, 4, 7, the 5 goes into the 8. Remember, the ball only takes out the 1, 3, 5, 9. Now, if it only hits 4 pins, there's a lot of possibilities that you can leave a lot of varieties of spares standing out the other end of the lane. Let me throw a few balls down the lane for you, see what kind of spares I can leave, see if I can show you how to line up properly to make those particular spares. I'll start from my normal strike position here with the ball. But I'll see if I can get it just a little bit wide of the head pin. and leave a spare for us to shoot at. All right, now, as you can see, the pins that I've left standing are a very common leave for a lot of bowlers because they get a little bit quick with their feet or make a little bit of a bad shot, and they leave, for example, what I've left here, which is the 1, 3, 6, 9. Very common leave. Sometimes you leave the 9 with just, sometimes you leave just the 1, 3, 6. Anyway, the proper way to make this spare, I'll show you now, is to move slightly with your feet to the left. For me, as a left-hander, to the right, if it was on the other side of the lane for a right-hander. So I'm going to move 3 boards to my left with my feet, which makes a 6-board difference down there, which will make the ball cross over the head pin and cover the spare on the other side of the head pin. Such as that. For the right-hander, it would look like this. As you can see, we want the ball to cross over the head pin so that the ball takes out not only the 1, the 3, and the 6, but also the 9 pin. We want as many pins to be touched by the ball as possible, because then we know they're going to fall down. Okay, we'll try it again and see what I can leave this time and see if we can get a different spare to shoot at, and I'll show you a different way to line up for that particular spare. Again, I'm going to use my strike position to begin with, but this time I'm going to move my feet a little bit to the left of where I normally stand to get a strike, making the ball break higher on the head pin. Now, this ball is going right through the middle of the head pin. As you can see, I've left a very difficult spare to shoot at. This is the 4, 7, 10. I'll show you on the diagram here. The 4, the 7, and the 10, a very wide open split. For a right-hander, on the same hit would leave the 6, 7, and the 10. Now, to make this spare, let me show you where to stand. Cross lane, always at the 2 pins on the left for me, for right-hander, the 2 pins on the right. Now, in order to have a chance to make this spare, I must get the ball between the 4 and the 7 pin. I want the ball to skid down the lane using the center arrow on the lane, standing as far to the right as possible, drawing a direct line with my left hand to the pins, over the 4th arrow, back to my shoulder. And I want to follow through with my normal approach, a good relaxed approach. Straight over the target and to the pins. Missed. The idea is always to cover the 2 pins to get the maximum count if you possibly can. Of course, you want to make the spare if you can. But anyway, it's the same shot to make the 4 and the 7. 4 by itself, the 7 by itself, the 4 pin, the 7 pin, or the 8 pin cluster. Any combination of those 3 pins, cross lane over the 4th arrow, your normal approach, a relaxed arm swing so that you can follow through to your target, and you'll make your corner pin spare. We'll reverse the picture and see that right-handed. Here we go. We've got a spare that is very common. Right-handed, left-handed bowler, doesn't make any difference. We all have the same spare leaves. Now, again, light in the pocket. I've left the 3, the 5, and the 6. It's called part of the bucket. Now, if I'd left the 9 pin with it, they'd call it the bucket, the 3, 5, 6, 9. For a right-hander, it's the 2, 4, 5, 8. The same spare, just on the opposite side of the lane. Now, again, as I showed you, when I converted the 1, 3, 6, 9, I moved slightly to my left with my feet, using the same target that I used for my strike ball on the lane, the 2nd arrow. I want the ball to come into this area, just like a pocket shot, and take out the 3, 5, 6. Watch, and I'll show you how we do it. Again, my nice relaxed stance, slightly to the left of my normal strike position, maybe just an inch or 2, using the same target on the lane. Make the ball go right between them, and you cover your spares. That's 10 more pins on your average right there.